I'm Dr. Elleunorah Allsopp. I'm a senior researcher in entomology at ARC Infruitec-Nietvoorbij. I started here in 1982 and I am finishing off next year after 42 years of service. It's come full circle because my very first research project here was on a leafhopper in grapevines here in the Western Cape. And I'm ending my career with a project on leafhoppers on grapevines in the Northern Cape. Well, for me, there is no typical day at the office because a lot of my work is field-based. So I will be out in vineyards, in orchards, depending on the project. That is the exciting part of the work. There is also some laboratory-based work, mainly processing samples that we have gathered in the field. Occasionally, we do studies that also are laboratory-based. I did some work some years ago where we looked at essential oils that could deter certain thrips from laying their eggs in fruit. But by and large, the work is out there. And for me, that is the exciting part because there aren't really 2 days that are the same. As with all jobs, there is, of course, the administrative part, and researchers spend an inordinate time writing reports, papers, but mostly I enjoy the work because it is field-based. Well, for me, it is the fact that research is a bit like a detective story. You start with a question or a puzzle, and your job is to find a way to solve the puzzle. So in our context, we will have farmers, grapes, deciduous fruits, even olives we've worked on. They will identify a problem with a particular pest. Our job is to find out what is the biology of the pest? What does it do in the field? When does it occur? How does it damage the crop? And how can we help protect the crop from that damage? So that for me is the exciting part. The administrative part, writing it up as its own excitement. There's a great satisfaction when you finish the project. You have put the results into a publication and you can actually see something tangible coming out of that. In our division and this work, we concentrate on looking towards integrated management of insect and other pests on the fruit. So we will look at the basics of the pest, what methods are available, how can we look for more environmentally friendly methods. There's also a big focus on technology transfer because it doesn't help that we come to some great conclusions and find solutions here in the office and it doesn't relate onto the farm. So there is of necessity some interaction with farmers because we also provide a service in that they bring samples to us to identify pests, to identify damage. We spend a fair amount of time giving talks at farmer associations or industry information days. And that interaction with the farming community and also with other pest management advisors that work in the farming community, that's a very important part of our work. It's also a satisfying part of the work, especially when you realize that work that we've done actually gets implemented at farm level. I think agricultural research is a great field to be involved in. Agriculture still underpins basically all life on earth. If we want to feed people, we need agriculture. But in some ways, shrinking world with changing climates and an ever-increasing human population, farming needs to become smarter. And that is where the researchers are going to be needed. So there are many opportunities in just about every field of science to be involved in agriculture. In my projects, I have often, and I'm still on my current leafhopper project, collaborating with researchers at the ARC Biosystematics unit, because we are in many cases here working with pest insects that are indigenous and unique to our industries. So the first step is to get a proper taxonomic identification. In some cases, it requires them to actually describe something that hasn't been described before. So we work in close collaboration. They are my first port of call when we need to say, well, before we can start doing the research, we need to know who and what we're working with. I have also worked with other researchers in the ARC, and I think going forward, because there is a greater emphasis on looking at more biological control methods. Also for taxonomy, we don't have many taxonomists left, so the world is looking increasingly towards DNA barcoding for identifying insects. So collaboration in between institutes where we have expertise in doing the genetic side of things, looking at alternative control methods, for instance, entomopathogenic nematodes or fungi. Those offer great opportunities. And also because while our institute is quite specifically commodity focused on grapevines and deciduous fruit, we find that there are pests that are common with our crops as well as other crops like citrus or other subtropical fruits. So it makes sense also to have collaborations. Let's not reinvent the wheel, but share the wheel and ride the bicycle together.